Pennsylvania and travel 1,200 miles to get a job. Kind of, sort of, not really. My dad was in the military, and we had the privilege, I guess, of seeing a lot of the United States. We lived in South Carolina, we lived in Texas, we lived in California, and with that came a lot of different schools. Every time we'd go to a new school, there'd be a way of trying to fit in and figure out who and what I am. Wasn't always the best opportunity. I actually got a great disdain for school. I was not a very good student and didn't like school at all, and I'll share a little bit of that with you. My dad, there's 5 in our family. I'm the middle. I've got 2 older brothers, a younger brother, and a younger sister. There is about a year to year and a half difference in our ages. My dad, being in the military, volunteered to go overseas a lot. That left my poor mom with 5 kids. To her credit, she did the best she could, but I think we drove her nuts. She made the statement numerous times when we saw her, she had to try and find herself. So that left 5 young people pretty much raising ourselves. My mom always made sure that my sister was taken care of, but as far as us 4 boys, my older brother, the burden of raising us kind of fell on him. And as we were growing up, that was our running joke, is Jody was the dad that we never had. We moved to Wichita Falls, Texas. I was in the 4th grade. And just to give you an idea of how much I enjoyed school, I knew the principal on a first name basis. I was not allowed in my home room. I had a special room where he came and checked on me every day. And that did not get a whole lot better as I went through junior high and high school. The good thing about that principal was I think he could see a troubled young man, and instead of bringing down the wrath, actually showed a lot of compassion. Didn't know that then, but understood it later on. The best thing about moving to Wichita Falls is we were growing up, we were not brought up in church. And it wasn't until I was about in junior high that my mom started taking us to church. And I honestly believe, I know for myself, it was at a Nazarene church camp that I received Jesus as my Savior and professed my profession of faith. I believe my brothers and sisters did. I know my oldest brother did. He ended up attending, at that time it was Bethany Nazarene College in Oklahoma City, which in a weird way is how I ended up in Chandler, Oklahoma. But as we started going to church, things started to get pretty good, so it seemed, and about 2 years later, my parents ended up divorced. And I'm thinking to myself, how can we get in church, everything's, and then it's not working out? Out of 5 kids, I'm the only one that would not stay with my mom. I ended up choosing to go with my dad. My dad, not doing so well with the divorce, decides he's going overseas again. So that puts me living with my Aunt Sally and Uncle Steve, which is my dad's sister. And it really ended up being, as bad as divorce is, it really ended up being a good thing in that in Wichita Falls, not having a whole lot of structure and everything, and I explained to you how my childhood in school was. Well, outside of school, I wasn't any better. I was actually a lot worse. And when the divorce happened, I moved in with my Aunt Sally. My family lives out in Pennsylvania on a hill, a lot of aunts and uncles. So finally, there was some structure in my life. I had a family excessive. I mean, you did one thing and you heard it from every set of aunt and uncles. I guess that was makeup for all the stuff had done wrong earlier. But things were going good. I've got an uncle that is Midas touch, very, very prosperous. He owns car dealerships, 40 restaurants under his own name, hotels, golf courses. And so life is going really, really good. I ended up going to 3 different high schools. In high school, I figured out a way to, I don't know if kids are gone, right? Well, things are computerized now. Back then, when they kept your attendance, they put them on these cards. I figured out how to steal my cards. In my sophomore, junior year, I probably missed about 60, 70 days of school. I didn't like it. I don't know if they knew or not, or really didn't want to know. I thought I was smart, but after 10 days, you had to have a doctor's note. About the 9th day, I'd go in there and take my progress or attendance, and so they would start over. But anyway, life was pretty good. Thought I had it all figured out, but I did terrible in school. Squandered in education like no other, but as a kid, I thought I was pretty daggum smart, manipulating the system to benefit me. Pennsylvania, living with the family, things are going really good. We did not attend church when I moved to Pennsylvania, and about 2 years after graduation, I'm just miserable and don't know why. How can I be in a family that is very loving, has anything and everything I could want, and be so miserable? And I distinctly remember praying to God, if that's all there is, there's got to be more to this. Don't know why. Boss works in, it was a cousin I was working for, and I told I'm done. I'm giving y'all 30 days notice, and then my brother at BNC, or SNU now, I'm going to Oklahoma. Don't have a plan, just knew I had to get away from there. So I come down here, get into construction, and during that time, I had this idea that I was going to be a builder, I was going to have a boys ranch, and I was going to take troubled youth like myself and teach them so many facets in construction that you can teach kids, from roofing, plumbing. It's just, and you can go anywhere and still get a job. Worked for myself 2 or 3 times. Didn't take long to figure out that when you can make more money working for somebody else than you do yourself, you are not a businessman. And you will not be successful doing that if you can't run a business. How are you going to help the kids? And so I still like the construction part of it, but like years before, found myself in a place I was pretty miserable again. And it's like, Father, I know that there's more to my life than what I am doing. I thought I chose something honorable that would glorify you, but it's not working. What am I missing? Of all the weird things, by this time I'm living in Oklahoma, I'm married, attending church, and life is good, other than I don't have the direction that I really thought I'd have by now. My little nieces that are now in their 30s, they had, to tell y'all how long ago this was, they were planning, that's why I take notes. I put a lot of airplanes up there. I get the landing gear down, but I hardly ever land the airplanes. My nieces wanted to play basketball, but there were not enough coaches. And so I can't say no. And so I volunteered. It was 6-on-6 girls basketball. I had never heard of such a thing. Debbie Greenfield and I, mainly Debbie, took that task on, but out of doing something like that, I am in Memorial Gym one day, and I got there early, and I know that I heard the Spirit of God tell me that I was going to be a teacher. And folks, I know what I did in school. I know what I squandered, but it was very, very real. It wasn't like Moses in the burning bush. I didn't have a tablet or anything. I didn't come out 100 years older looking. But it was very real yet surreal because I'm not teaching material. Somebody should have been in there earlier. Wires are crossed. I go and I talk to my wife at the time, who was not the most encouraging individual, but she's the one that said, that's exactly what you need to do. Well, then I knew it had to be God talking to me because she was encouraging me. It took me 5 times to get enrolled in school. I was petrified. I'm the type, folks, and this is very humbling. This is out of my nature. Usually I don't get intimidated and I don't have the shakes or anything like that. Going into a college and trying to get enrolled, scared, I couldn't believe how it unnerved me. My wife at the time actually went in to help me, and she couldn't figure it out. And I thought, okay, maybe I got my wires crossed. Still had this deal, no, you got to go do this. And I made myself, I'm not leaving. They just started hooking up technology where you had to enroll online. I still struggle with technology. That was 20-something years ago. Long and short of it, I got enrolled in college, and I thought, man, I'm going to have to take an ACT, SAT, they're going to test me or something like this. Get a counselor, I'm enrolled. All I had to prove is that I had a high school diploma. I was shocked. I did have that. It was given to me only because they wanted me out of there. And so I questioned them about that, and they told me, at your age, if you want to waste your money, we will take it. So it's never too late to go to college. So I get a counselor, and he tells me, and I tell him my history, why I'm worried. He tells me, take a class, well, I love history. So I take a history class. He suggested this business class because it's a blow-off class. He said, that'll give you an idea of your college material. Love the history class. The business class was just as he said. It wasn't very challenging. So then came the next major hurdle. I knew that in order for me to continue on, I would have to have English. To this day, I have a writing phobia. I've shared this with Keith on numerous occasions. I go in, sign up for Comp 1. If I could make a English professor, this woman was it. Perfect posture, the glasses over her nose, spoke so eloquently, and me, I'm scared, so anybody would have impressed me, okay? First thing she had us do was write front and back on a piece of paper why we were there and what we expected out of the class. For the life of me, I cannot tell you what I wrote. I know that when I walked out of there, I looked like I'd been playing basketball for 3 hours in a 110-degree gym. I was just drenched in perspiration. Not a very good visual there. That was on Tuesday night. Thursday night, I was going back in to get out. I knew I was in over my head, and it happened that Dr. Edith Smith was in there. And I told her what my concerns were. She asked me my name. I told her. She gets my paper out. She reads through it. And she looks above those glasses. And she tells me, she goes, at least you write in complete sentences. I don't know. She tells me, she says, we get kids right out of high school that don't write this well. You promise me you'll get in a remedial class, and I will, and you don't miss my class, and I will get you through this. It is the only time in my life that somebody had my future in the palm. Has she said a curse word to me or even anything that I'd have been out of there, folks. I was going into kindness. kind words at the right time. She had no idea. I'm no dummy. I stayed in there. I took her for Comp 2. I ended up graduating college with honors. I was honored to get out of there, but to tell you how weird, I wasn't going to walk across the stage. I'm 15, 20 years older than most of those people. Felt out of place. Parents and family from Pennsylvania drove down, so I had to walk. They didn't believe that I actually graduated college. And we're standing there in line, and a guy I had classes with said, "I didn't know you were so smart." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He goes, "Well, you could get the different the colored cords or whatever it is. You're graduating with honors." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He flipped the card over, cum laude, I don't know what it was, Greek words. It was all Greek to me. He goes, "You're in the top 5 or 10% of your class." I don't know. I got a degree. That's all I was there for. I'm way over, aren't I? Forgive me. Anyway, during this time, once I got past English, I had this. It's the same thing. I knew I was going to be a 6th grade teacher at Park Road Elementary School. I don't know why I knew that, but I knew that. As I am finishing up my degree and I do my student teaching, I get to do it in Park Road, which at that time you weren't allowed to go beyond the bubble. They allowed me to do it, and I thought, man, this is all working out. As I'm doing my student teaching, a 5th grade position opens up. And I'm thinking, 5th grade, 6th grade, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get a job at Park Road. Well, they hired somebody else. I'm like, you guys didn't get the same message from God? That was my job. and so I didn't get it. And for the first time in my life, I'm filling out a resume. And I went to different schools, actually seeking employment in construction. If you got a pulse, strong back, weak mind, you can usually find work. And so I find myself in another place I had never been, actually seeking employment. About 3 weeks before school starts, there is a young lady, 6th grade teacher, that decides she wants to go to the junior high and teach math. I got a 6th grade position at Park Road 3 days before school started. It is that, I can't explain it. I just know that through that, I have an unshakable faith that nobody can tell me that there isn't a God that doesn't work miracles in our lives. I tell my kids at school, Megan and them, it is only by God's grace. I share that with them, that I stand before you as a teacher. I have no business being here. As good as that was, 3 years into it, my Aunt Sally that I lived with, I get the phone call that she's passing away with cancer. This is the person that was more of a mom to me than my own mom. It's the first person I really lost that was close to me. Didn't know how to handle it, didn't know what to do with it. It was December 17th, right before Christmas. And my 2 boys want to go to Pennsylvania with me, and I had never left them. And I told them, I said, guys, where I'm going, I don't think Santa Claus is going to be there. So I left home, made it, got to visit with Aunt Sally before she passed. January 1st, I fly home. I wake up the next morning to find out my wife's having an affair. Find myself in a nasty divorce. Then I find out I don't have a job. 30 of us got rifted from the school. 2 of my cousins that I grew up with died in Pennsylvania during this time. It's about a 6-month span. And as bad as it was, there's still that peace that I